Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today, Warriors. I am going to be talking about the Democrat Party's plan to destroy America caught on tape. That's what I'll be talking about today on Chat with me, Linda B. All right, Warriors, you know what to do. Don't forget to give me the thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Select all notifications. Stick around to the very end. Let's go. All right, I got this from a friend of mine, Mr. Vince, and he was talking about this on his channel. And I got to say, this is a very good recording, and it tells everything that the Democrat Party is doing. Now, the actual recording is from 2003, but it was played on the Mark Levin show in 2014. All right, so this was back in 2003. And in the recording, he does mention George Bush, but you all need to listen. I mean, the whole entire thing and compare what is being said in this video to what the Democrat Party is actually doing. Check it off, really pay attention, compare, look at the policies, look at what the Democrat Party is fighting for. Look at the districts that are led by Democrats, led by Black Democrats, I might add, because the Democrat Party is a machine that is allegedly trying to destroy America from within. So I want you all to take a watch of this video. It is very, very, extremely educational. You don't want to miss it. Let's take a listen.
Really gets it. Again, a liberal Democrat. And he calls it my plan to destroy America. My plan to destroy America. And a hat tip to our partners at FAIR who provided this to me, and this has never been played before. Cut one, go.
I would like to share with you my plan to destroy America. If you think, and some do, that America is too smug, too rich, too self-satisfied, not diverse enough, too white bread, I have this plan. Toynbee, said that all great nations rise and they all fall. And he said, and the autopsy of history is all great nations commit suicide. So here's my plan, 8 parts. Number 1, I'd make it a bilingual, bicultural country. History shows us that no bilingual, bicultural country lives at peace with itself. There's not one, I believe, that doesn't exist with an incredible amount of tension and conflict, if not civil war. My second part of my plan would be to invent something called multiculturalism. This would be 2 parts. Number 1, I would say that all cultures are created equal. It would make no difference and make it impossible to talk about such things as culture. And the second one is that I would really try very hard to make people continue their cultural identity. I would replace the melting pot with the salad bowl. My third part of my plan would be to make the fastest growing demographic group in that country the least educated. I would add a second underclass to the first underclass, unassimilated, undereducated, antagonistic, and then I'd have 50% of them drop out of school, not graduate from high school. The fourth part of my plan would be to get the big foundations to fund, and big business to fund these efforts with lots of money. I would invest in ethnic identity and victimology. I would get them to think about their lack of success was only the fault of the majority. I would start a grievance industry. The fifth part of my plan is I would develop dual citizenship. I would promise people actually divided loyalties, allow them to vote for both Vicente Fox and George Bush. The sixth part, and this is important, I would place all of these subjects off limits. I would make it taboo to talk about, actually, or criticize this whole thing. I would make it come up with a word like heretic used to be 200 years ago. Let's say we'd call it racist. And I would try to accuse anybody of this that would object to my ideas. My seventh part, then, I would make it impossible to enforce our immigration laws. I would develop a mantra, let's call it this, that because immigration has been good in the past for America, it will continue to be good in the future. My eighth and last part, and it's important, is I would censor this book. This man is dangerous. he's on to my plan. Don't read this book.
And he's pointing to our friend Victor Davis Hanson. And
does that sound like any political party that you know of? I mean, let me just see. Oh, yeah, the Democrats. And that's from a former Democrat governor, Dick Lamm. That speech was from 2003, but it was posted on the Mark Levin show back in 2014. And it sounds very much like the Democrat Party. They're the ones that yell racist whenever you disagree with them or when they're losing a debate. Either they cuss you out and walk away or sucker punch you like that woman Breonna Rivers did with that pro-life activist, Savannah Antar, when she was asking her about Planned Parenthood. She just sucker punched her twice. When they're losing an argument, this is how they act out, because they're literally, not all, but most of them are toddlers. They don't know how to control their emotions. But one of the things I wanted to focus on 4 things. I wanted to focus on racism, victimhood, illegal immigration, and corporations that are funding this. If you were looking at the news articles that were in that little soundbite, then you could see racism. Anybody that disagrees with me, I just call you a racist. I call anyone that is a racist who disagrees with us. Okay, so I don't agree with the woke agenda. So they would call me a racist if anybody knew who I was. They would call me that, but I am not. I'm not against myself. I'm not against Black people. I'm Black. We don't need the handouts. We're not disabled. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and her rhetoric saying that seemingly, it looked like she was equating Black people to being disabled. We're not disabled. We were doing just fine before all of this woke garbage got into our schools and in our institutions of higher learning and all over the mainstream media. Black people had Black Wall Street. We had Madam C.J. Walker, first Black millionaire. We didn't need it. We had our own businesses thriving, 2-parent homes, overwhelmingly religious people, dependent on God, not government. We just don't need it. And because we have Black people, I'm talking about the ones who have bought into this mindset. Okay, you can be white and have bought into this mindset. So all Americans, if you have looked at yourself as a victim, that means that you're not taking accountability for your own decision making, that you may have made some missteps in life. We all do. It's okay, but you can get out of it. Don't blame anybody else. Take accountability, sit down, write it out where you went wrong, and do something to make it better. I suggest, be a believer of the God of the Holy Bible through Jesus Christ. That's what I recommend. I mean, seriously, depend on God. That's what Black people did from decades ago. We did not have our hands out. We had our own businesses. We built things with our hands. I remember this famous saying by MLK, and I'm not going to get into MLK here in this video. You guys, you'd find out more about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but he once said that, how can you tell a bootless man to pull himself up by his bootstraps? Well, the people of Black Wall Street and prior and even after that, Black folks pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps. And if we did not have boots, we made the boots. Okay, we had our own businesses. We were entrepreneurs. We had our own bus line during the Civil Rights Movement. So there was no need for Rosa Parks to sit on that bus. Okay, because we already had that. And plus, she had a car anyway. But racism is a common tactic. It wants us to go back into our tribalism, that just the most base of human nature, and only focus on people who look like us, and people who look like you may not care not even a little bit about you. Skin folk aren't necessarily kinfolk. I haven't said that in a while, but stop doing that. We're supposed to be children of God. Okay. And racism only focuses on grievances of the past, like, oh, slavery. It happened, but it also ended. So focus on the fact that it ended in this country and that hundreds of thousands of white people fought for the Union Army to end it. So stop your boo-hoo whining and moaning. I can't do anything because it's the white man's fault. No, it's more than likely yours. Okay. It's more than likely yours. It's more than likely your fault. So we have to take accountability for our own missteps. Okay. It is not right to blame another group of people. That's not right. And forget about reparations, because that's just a Band-Aid on something that actually needs surgery. Okay. Less than 2% of white people owned slaves in America. So more than 98% did not own slaves. Okay. All right. So we need to get that together. We need to understand that this is just a ploy to keep us at each other's throats. to have grievances, which is unforgiveness. Are we still having unforgiveness over people who are now dead and gone, which less than 2% of white Americans own slaves? Is that what some Black Americans are doing? And I say some because those of us on the conservative side are not doing that. Is that what is happening here? You want reparations, but still our schools are crappy, and there's a high incarceration rate from crime and teenage pregnancy, broken homes. The father's not in the home, giving someone a bunch of money and making all the taxpayers contribute to something that their ancestors did not even do, will not fix the lack of godlessness that is in a lot of homes, no matter what you look like, is in all homes. It's a problem in America. Another thing I wanted to talk about again is victimhood. We got to stop seeing ourselves as victims. It's always somebody else's fault, which I already talked about. This victimology is what the recording said, but I call it victimhood. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. You're not a victim. And well, some of you are victims. Some of you probably need an extra helping hand. You can't do it on your own because you're so caught up in victimhood that you can't grow up and be a mature man and woman and say, you know what? Bump this. I can do it. Many folks have done it in the past, and they had more problems and roadblocks and obstacles than we have today. So stop your boohooing and crying. It doesn't make any sense. And that is orchestrated on purpose by the Democrat Party. They do this. They get on their mainstream liberal with their pundits, their paid off talking points. People like Roland Martin, Tiffany Cross, Al Sharpton, and others, Benjamin Crump. They focus on racism. They focus on victimhood. They don't talk about the Black on Black crime. They focus on whenever there's a white person involved, especially if the white person happened to unalive the Black person, that is all over the news. Well, what about more than 98% of crimes are committed against a Black person by another Black person? So realize when we are being played. Illegal immigration, he said, bicultural and bilingual society does not do well over time. We have divided interests. We can't do that. So people need to assimilate and learn English, right? They wanted to have a second underclass to the first underclass. And you saw it that at the time, more than 50 million Hispanics in America. We don't have a problem with legal immigration, but everybody must be vetted. And when something looks like a good thing, but the intent behind it is a bad thing, they're not really over here trying to bring these people in, through this mass exodus from Mexico or wherever these people come from with their best interest in mind. The interest is to make the Democrat Party the dominant party and to make these people dependent on government. And while they're giving them the freebies, while overlooking the veterans and tax-paying citizens, while they're giving them all the freebies, they're going to tell them, you vote for us and we'll make sure we always give you this. And it makes them dependent and also very controlled. And also they're going to try and make it so at least 50% of them drop out of school and that they're uneducated, which is what has already happened to the Black community with these terrible performing public schools. Well, a lot of the Black kids are not even able to read or do math or science or history at grade level. Okay, that is just a fact. People don't know who the first president of the United States was. They don't know who was president, during or who passed the Emancipation Proclamation. They don't know these things because that's how they like to keep folks. They like to keep them dumb on the liberal side. And then when you want to have a parent who wants to give their child, the ability to learn from another environment like homeschool or private school, Democrats are never for that. They're never for that. I talked about illegal immigration. And another thing about illegal immigration that I don't like is that the Democrats are going to say this, right? They're going to say that, we have to have the immigrants because other folks in America don't want to do these jobs. We would do the jobs if you would pay us more than $2 an hour. Pay a livable wage. Pay a livable wage. All right, because jobs are being taken from American citizens or legal immigrants for the illegals that are paid under the table who get paid very little money. Okay, and these corporations are going to have to stop doing that. And another thing I want to talk about is this mass amount of money that is going towards these woke ideologies. Massive amounts of money. NGOs. That's why they were crying when, President Trump, along with Elon Musk, was cutting all of that so-called allegedly money laundering, right? We have got to understand what is really going on. I come to educate, not infuriate. But another thing he also mentioned is censorship. Folks want to censor on the Democrat side. You're not allowed to have a difference of opinion. If a Democrat comes out and has a difference of opinion, they are going to go after that Democrat for defecting. Okay, you're supposed to walk in lockstep. This is who the Democrat Party is. They've actually repurposed or rebranded the KKK into Antifa. Not the same pointy hoods, but their faces are covered. Not necessarily burning crosses, but it's anti-Christian, and they're destroying things. They are the fascists. Don't get caught up in the name. BLM, Black Lives Matter. It would have been better if they had been called By Large Mansions, because BLM did nothing for Black folks. They went to live in mansions in white neighborhoods, but they did not give any money to the Black communities that they said they were going to. And these are all scams. And we're caught up in the names. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, the name may sound good, but all lives matter. But they didn't matter. Their Black folks' lives did not matter to the founders of BLM and the money behind it. They promoted the opposite of the biblical definition of family. NAACP, all these organizations do, and they are funded heavily by rich liberals. So we need to wake up, because we are all being played. We are all created in God's image, no matter what we look like. Do not be divided. Be united. Be united. Okay? We need to be united because we are the United States of America. I hope you all enjoyed this content. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and make sure you select that all notification bell. You all be blessed. Love God, your family, these United States of America, and march on, warriors.